Exactly.
All right. Like to call the Morgan City RDA meeting this session. It is November 23rd. First on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of June 8th. Entertain a motion or questions on those minutes.
I can't remember what happened on June 8th.
They're in there.
Yeah, I know.
Ray, I'd move to accept the Morgan City Redevelopment Agency meeting minutes of June 8, 2020-21.
I'll second that, Mayor.
A motion by David, second by Jeffrey, that we accept and approve the minutes of the Morgan RDA of June 8th. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Minutes will be approved. Annual report. If you want, do you have any questions first? Or want me to give you a couple of highlights on it?
Highlights first.
Okay, let me give you some highlights first, and then we'll let you ask questions. There's two pieces to it. One is the commercial street RDA, the other RDA, the other one is the CDA effort for the dealership up on the hill. If you want to turn with me, a couple things I think are interesting to note. Turn to page 6. This is the commercial street one. You'll notice down that table on 2.2, the base year value was $1 million. If you look at 2021, the base year is 19 million. So the value has definitely increased in the RDA, and that was, I guess, part of what we tried to have happen. We looked at back in the year 1993. They looked at commercial street being a blight or not happen there. So that shows something that happened. Marginal change is 3.3%. Turn on the page.
This is just the commercial. This is
Just the commercial street one, the RDA and the commercial street area. Turn on page 7. Again, it just shows the incremental value. That means the amount that came to the RDA. 1995 was 11,000. 2019 was 123,000. So that just shows you the growth in tax monies coming in through the growth of the RDA, what that kind of shows. Then if you want to go to page 9, this current year, the RDA will we be able to utilize, depending on which figure, the bottom of page 2, table 2.5, 115,993. If you take out 5,000 for administrative, you get 110,000 to use for the RDA disbursement. Most that is, or majority of that is given out to the motel. So there's not a whole lot left for other projects. Those are the highlights on that one. I'll give you a couple of highlights on if you turn back, there's a map there, it shows the area. You turn back then to the young automotive one. This is the last year of it. The year 2021 is the last year of that RDA, of that CDA, established in 2012. First year, 2015, it was for 7 years. The base tax value when we first started was 12,000. It was just first farm ground. On page 12, it says the current valuation is 4 million. So it went from 12,000 to 4 million. Is what the valuation of that ground went. So the CDA has produced that much increase in value over there. You turn to page 14. There's a couple of things we need to, I'd suggest we correct. They're not quite correct. Top of page 14, it says, therefore, there are 2 years remaining. That needs to change. This 2021 is the final year. There's not 2 years remaining.
for the dealership.
Yeah, for this dealership, yes. They're two separate ones. The CDA expires this year, and so they're not to remain. Same down under F on page 14, where it says the project area was created with an agreement for 7 years of tax increment to be distributed to the agency. That's fine. Next year will be fine. That's incorrect. This year, 2021 will be the last year. So we need to, I suggest we make an amendment change the word next year to this year /2021. Those are a couple of changes. Okay, with that, I'll let you ask. Go ahead and ask some questions. You have Ty address some things you want. Questions or thoughts on that report? That was quick and fast. So I didn't want to take necessarily all the time. There was a couple of things I thought were worth noting and looking at as far as the kinds of change, the benefit the RDA has had to the area.
So,
Go ahead, Tony.
okay, so back on page 12, right? So when
Okay.
we look at the base year, the taxable value, that was kind of the benchmark we set. That was $12,812, correct?
Yes, that's as farm ground, that's what it was
That's on that
worth.
piece of
Yeah.
property.
Mhm.
And then this year, it's valued at $4 million.
4 million.
4.6 million.
Yeah,
That's probably a pretty good call.
big change in tax value. Doesn't grow any more alfalfa though.
Doesn't use water,
Do we,
irrigation water.
do we know what the taxable value was for that piece of property that the hotel was built on?
The tax. I can go grab that if you want, but it was
Yeah.
a couple $1,000s.
Yes.
That's fine. Just-
It was, now it's 3.5 million.
That was my question. So a
Yeah.
couple thousand to 3.5 million.
Yep. And the actual taxes paid increased by, about 40,000 for that one property.
Bottom line is those greenfields eventually pay off pretty well, don't they?
Other questions you may have, thoughts, questions on the
Just a couple of general questions.
go ahead.
On the map on page 11, the project area map, just curious, and there may or may not be an answer to this, and it's not a big deal, but the area includes residential homes on the east side of, I think that's 250 East, but not the ones on the west. Why wouldn't it include both?
Back in the day when it was drawn up, people were given the option to opt in or opt out. And some of the folks in different areas, opted out and decided they did not want to participate and be part of it. So that's part of the rationale as far as where some of the lines are, where it jogs. For example, don't show the used to be back in the day when we were kids, used to be a grocery store, Eleanor grocery store. Now it's the physical therapy building. They opted out. So it was interesting when they came in to do some improvements there, they weren't part of the RDA.
Huh.
The RDA couldn't fund them.
So is that,
It was a personal choice of business to opt in or opt out.
so you can have those islands separate in the overall
They chose
map,
to
huh?
opt out, yes.
Yeah, okay. What benefit would it give a residents to be in the RDA? What benefits would there be?
I don't know if there's any benefit to the resident necessarily, other than if it's zoned commercial, and they should choose
Down the
to
road,
set-
yeah.
down the road, sell their property for a commercial operation.
Yeah.
It'd be potentially be worth more for them to sell their property. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, so there's, the upside is that the money can be used within the RDA area to be able to make improvements and do things. There's really no downside because the tax is paid anyway. And the only difference is who the tax goes to. Instead of going to the school district for a minimum period of time, it goes to the RDA to help build the area up and to help improve the area. So that the person really doesn't pay $1 more in taxes, but receives all the benefit of perhaps coming in and saying, I need to use some of this money to improve my building or something of that nature. So that's really the benefit that they would.
Couldn't use the money to improve a residence though,
No, residences don't really add much to the value,
even though they're part of the.
even though they're part of the RDA. You're right. Yeah, you're talking about a residential.
Right.
Residence.
A row of residential homes along the border there.
You could do like street improvements, things like that. So RDAs are redevelopment or to get rid of blight and that sort of thing. So you could technically you could use it for streetlights, curb gutter improvements, landscape or park strips, that sort of thing. But adding it to the residents doesn't really generate new revenue for anyone.
Not significant. It just seemed odd that the residents, there's 10 of them there, whatever, would be included in it. And then more than that, the other side wouldn't be. The other side of the street was.
Yeah. And I stepped out of the room. Sorry. I apologize for that. But the other thing is because the boundaries were originally established as an RDA, if we change the boundary, it goes under a different classification where 10% of the revenue goes must be contributed to low to moderate income housing projects and the homeless shelters in Salt Lake. So by keeping the boundary the exact same, it was easier to renew because we're an RDA operating under the original RDA criteria, and more of it stays in. Yeah, so because we kind of evaluated that too. It was like there's other commercial areas. It would be nice to include, but at the time we didn't feel like it was worth abandoning the RDA and creating a new area. So,
Thank you.
Other questions?
I guess from our discussion in our last meeting with wanting to change some of this, what would that do inside of the RDA? With a mixed use or multifamily use, that's all acceptable. Could they come and ask for help for that from the RDA?
yeah. So they could. Right now, there's no additional funds for that
Right now,
but
sure.
it doesn't change the RDA at all, whatever that use is. Right now, our grant program is strictly that capital improvement
Okay.
program that we have together, put together for redevelopment. And so whatever project is approved or is not approved is application process through the RDA through this board. So, yeah.
Gotcha.
Other questions?
What is life after RDA for the dealership? What happens then?
Basically what the CDAE did was those monies were used in an agreement to pay back some expenses that initially established in that dealership. Now what'll happen, all those tax monies will go to the school district, to the county,
Just
to the city, go back as they normally would. And so the county and the school district will see an increase in this property tax next year from that CD ending, if that makes sense.
I believe what we didn't we help them with the road?
Yeah, the road and
The
some
road going down to
infrastructure.
Down to the dealerships. I think that's what that money was used for, was to build that road.
All right, thank you.
Other questions? Okay,
So, yeah.
go ahead.
So help me understand this. Maybe this is a crazy question. On page 9, okay? The amount dispersed to the agency, 229,649, and then it breaks it down in the county, the school, and Morgan City. It talks about remaining after disbursements to tax levy. So that 229, what have we committed to the hotel?
Of that 229, that's the total amount of property tax that comes in.
Okay.
And the amounts you see there, the amounts would come from each of those entities.
Right.
The next column over shows the amount of money that is retained by the RDA. So the difference between those two columns stays with the county, school districts, or the city. For example, the school district is 159,000 there, and it moves to 80,000. So that differential, the school districts gets to keep that differential. Now, of the 115, that's what we have to utilize in our RDA. Is 115. If we use 5,800 for administrative costs, which we can do, that leaves 110 to utilize for that motel incentive. Motel incentive was 100 and
So the hotel's 128,700.
128.
Yep.
So do we lose ground on that? Or we knew that going into it?
Yeah, so we have a fund balance. Our fund balance is 87,308. So it'll chip away at that a little bit, but in the next couple of years, the increase year over year, those two will cross and Yep.
So that was.
yeah, so it'll be fully funded, and that's for the first 5 years. And then after that, the hotel incentive goes down to 69,300. And so after the first 5 years, then it'll free up additional, we'll be generating more than the,
Money. It could
Going
be
paid
used
out to
for
the
a future
hotel.
project.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
yep. So,
good questions. Others?
And the hotel hitting their occupancy goals, and is it doing okay this fall?
yeah, so as far as our RDA incentive, it was just to be operational, pay their property taxes, which they've done. That's that report I just gave to Tony. And stay in operation. Occupancy projections, I don't have a report on that, but I'll get numbers from the county in November. And they'll give me a report on the total tax increment or the transient room tax and all of that collected for the year. So he just doesn't get a report until the end of the year.
Gotcha.
Are there
So,
any employment requirements? Do they have to create so many jobs?
nope.
Okay.
Nope. But there has been a significant increase in transient room tax since the hotel came. The summer was really good. They've sold out.
You mean revenue for us? Or-
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's our indicator of how well the hotel's doing and pretty significant increase in tourism tax.
We could come back with numbers if the council wanted on sales tax generated and or TRT tax generated for the city from the motel. Yeah, and we could come back with those
Yeah.
numbers. I didn't bring them tonight.
Yeah,
The greatest portion of that goes to the county though, correct?
yep, correct.
We still have some.
4% or
4.25%,
4.25%, and city gets.
1%.
As I've been tracking the sales tax for a long time. We get sales tax from it as well. Yeah. Other questions?
They look busy all summer.
Cars there.
They do.
Other questions? Okay. We don't necessarily, this report is then submitted on to the state. We don't necessarily have to adopt it by a motion or anything. I don't know. I guess I would suggest those couple of changes that I mentioned to you as far as changes we make in that CDA. Just those 2-year changes on page 14. If you're okay with that, I'd change that. Otherwise, I think it stands. I don't think we don't necessarily need a motion. Or guidance from Ms. Gary, correct? We don't need a motion. We just have Ty change those before it sends it to state.
So the top of that page, it should just say the collection period for the project area commenced in 2015 period.
Yep.
And the next one will just say, you'll just strike that where it says next year will be.
Which is next year, I just add this year, 2021 is the end. Okay.
And then with those changes, and I appreciate that because after those changes, I'd take an annual report to the school district and the county and report back to them. And so I'll take the cleaned up report to those entities.
Do we contract with the Zion's Finance to provide the report?
Mhm.
Do they have any other influence in what we do with the RDA? We just have a
just track the
specific
numbers.
contract to do the report.
Yeah, it's strictly just, yeah, I provide them all of our information and then they compile it in the same format. And then they also submit the report on our behalf.
Cool pictures on the front.
Yeah, the hotel pictures compliments of Wanda because
There we go.
it was a last minute. It was like, the hotel
She
should at least be on there. That was a big deal.
Yeah, she went over there and took it. Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Credit the author.
You want to take number 3 then, Ty? We have about 5 minutes left in this meeting.
Okay.
If,
Yeah, so we kind of just covered the structure of it. I have a applicant that will be at our next meeting that would like to request RDA funds. And I've run the numbers a couple different ways, looking at our current fund balance. And I think we have enough money that we could fund one more project the way we are. There's some others in the pipeline, so it's just a question for the board if they would like to restructure the agreement. So when we renewed the RDA, it was a minimal kind of maintenance agreement, and we also told them, you know, if we had a large project, we'd like to come back and renegotiate the amount so they can contribute more to the RDA and allow us to do a couple more projects. I think we can do one more without asking the entities. So we can either wait. We can just leave it as is and say not until the hotel dollar amount drops. Do we want to do any more projects? It's kind of the preference of the RDA board. If you'd like me to pursue that opportunity to generate more revenue. I'd like to do at least one project per year. So generate an extra 40,000 would be my recommendation. We have a rehabilitation project. We have a couple lots out in front of the hotel that are bare ground. We have one on the corner by the physical therapy building under works. And then, you know, we did use some money for infrastructure behind Commercial Street. So I think the taxing entities would be amenable to it this year, especially when we let them know that they're about to receive an increase from the CRA. So I'd like to just maybe capture some of that. So they don't lose, right? So they still generate the revenue that they're used to and what they're expecting, but by changing that formula, getting the RDA another 40 grand a year to do a project. If that's my thought process, but I'm open to whatever you want to do.
So would you like a head nod from the council as to
proceed
be
or
able
not.
to approach the
Yeah.
school board, school district in the county?
Yeah, and I can bring, what I can do is, if you're interested, I could work up a proposal, bring back the numbers at your, you know, or you say, no, I think we've done enough. Whatever you'd like me to do. And then what I would do is I would come here first, have the board sign off on my proposal before I take it to the entities.
Just briefly, though, the benefits of moving forward with it versus benefits of not moving forward. I mean, what are the pluses and minuses?
So the pluses, the school district really likes the fact that we're generating commercial business because it's additional future tax without necessarily more students. It's more people bring money to town, like commercial businesses, that sort of thing. And then I think the nice thing for the school district or for the county is that because they receive so much in transient room tax, that it's a good contribution, I think, on their property tax side to realize that they have transient room tax that they can do on tourism and do more to promote the county. And so that's just my take on where they stand. Benefit for us, it's just probably the most meaningful grant with the least amount of administrative, like they come, they apply, they submit their receipts, I review their receipts. It's all based on capital investment. And we already have the formula identified of that investment pays itself back. So pretty nice.
You mentioned, though, there may be a half a dozen different possibilities, we don't have funding to do all of those. Is that a first come, first served, or how do you
Mhm.
determine the priority?
The RDA board listens to proposals and decides if they want to fund one or not, and at what level.
And and that could be arbitrary, just whatever
Preference.
makes sense. Yeah,
Mhm.
preference, okay.
Yep.
So then the concern may be, though, I mean, the reason we wouldn't go forward is just because of limited funds. Is that the biggest, downside?
Limited downside
Well,
on, to which entity then?
Yeah, you said to the council, give me some direction. I can either move forward with, new proposals or not. Why would we not move forward?
Just if the RDA board felt like that we've done enough, right, That's
Hence the monetary side of it.
yeah. It's your discretion as an RDA, if you'd like to
Mhm.
hold the line, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there could be additional risk, if you will, because we've spent most of the money already.
Yeah.
with the hotel.
Yeah.
Any further questions?
So any of these projects that you just mentioned, you said there's several things that you're looking, are any of them like greenfield related?
None that have, not, I know I've talked to people that are interested, but I don't have a proposal.
Okay,
The proposal is for a rehab project, which has also been very beneficial to bring buildings up to code.
I'd say, Ty, let's take a look at it, move forward with something that, we can always say, no, it doesn't work, so why not consider it?
Go approach them.
Yeah, I mean,
And
So Tommy needs made a quick, would you like to bring back a proposal to us again of a
The
potential?
momentum that it's had,
potential
let's
change?
keep it going.
do you feel like funding one project a year is about the right pace?
Until we get the hotel, yeah.
Till we,
probably depends on the money too, though. I mean,
Well, so that's the ask. We have to kind of know which, we don't want to go ask each entity for, more than comfort level, because we
we're
could,
comfortable with.
yeah, I think if that's a recommendation, that makes sense. Like you say, you have to sell it to the other
entities.
districts. Yeah.
Yeah. It takes a year to get a project in the works anyway. So I'm comfortable with like one at a time type thing.
Anything else? We're good?
So,
Okay,
okay, we'll schedule that for the December meeting.
I'll declare the RDA meeting adjourned. Denise will give